with Cygnus is a publicity drive for the literary work of Joergen Lund, the author of 6 tomes of the saga of the planet Pedoria, each containing about 80 pages of A4, and also there exist 2 other books with tales from Pedoria, the Christmas of Joergen and the ghost hunting of Joergen. The latter is under its way as an e-book. But the whole work is written in Danish, so it must be translated in English if anyone requires books from this publicity campaign. It would be an immense work if it should be made by hands. Maybe the aid of translation software is possible, but we apply for English-speaking people who are skilled in the Danish language. Someone may be in Great Britain or in USA or other countries who could be interested in doing translations. My name is Ekinas Hjejle, boy from Pedoria itself. I will give you some Danish. I will give you some information about what kind of planet Pedoria is. The story begins on the Earth in the year 9564 before Christ, a time when still some islands existed from the continent of Atlantis. That time, the technical development of humanity was ever higher than in our days, and they had great spaceships which by means of the so-called wormholes could reach the stars far away in no time. When the flight is in the mode of warpcraft, the great scientist Joergen had made research in the phenomenon called mutiny, which is the quality of some primitive organisms letting a great number of the young cubs never grow adults, but staying in the cup conditions all their life, which was much longer than the life of adults. But nevertheless, they were able to breed. Joergen had succeeded to give humans the quality of mutiny. He also could treat the adults so that they returned as children again, not older than up to 12 years. And these children lived about 1500 years and would never seem older than most 12 years. A great party of adults and children gathered around Joergen and they wanted by mutiny to be eternal children. All these people knew that the rest of Atlantis would soon go down, so they had a spaceship in which they intended to fly and bring with them genetic material from all earthly animals and plants. In the year 9566 before Christ, it is minus 4,896 on Pedoria. It is 4,896 before the Great World Rocket. They fled, and in direction of the constellation the Swan. They fled until they reached a brilliant planet 350 light years from our sun. That planet orbited the star 72 Cygnus, which the eternal Earth children called Stylocabeza, and the planet they called Pedoria, the children's planet. Pedoria had 2 moons, which the children called Tidon and Poseidon. The work is divided in chapters, which are not called chapters, but chronicles, because most of the story is told by the head person, the Danish-speaking boy Henrik Hjort. The second chronicle jumped to the year 6041 after the Great Rocket. It corresponds to the earthly year 1998 after Christ. From the Danish-speaking nation Infantia on Pedoria, a boy named Løve takes a space journey to the Earth, to and from Djurs hours, and it is, as said above, 350 light years. He there on Earth comes for bringing an adult person, a doctor, Henrik Wilster, about 50 years old, from Denmark, back to the planet Pedoria in the nation Infantia. Mr. Wilster gets his neutenic treatment in the hospital of the town Rinske, and Henrik becomes a seemingly 6-year-old boy. Later on he stops with seemingly 9 years. Henrik and Vicky are best friends, and in the terms of the adventure, the 2 boys drive in Vicky's green car to visit laboratories of chemistry and magic in a good number of countries all over the Pedorian world. They experience exciting things, and they are eating brilliant dishes. Well, our author, Joergen Lund, will read a little of the saga. Hey, hey! we start. I'll read a little of Tome 5 for you. The Saga of Pedoria as a whole has no English translation. It is first and foremost a Danish work, but of the same kind of fantasy as the tales of Tolkien and Michael Ende. On the planet Pedoria, English is only spoken in a little mountain country called Upmeads and situated in a highland. The nature is like the Scottish. The English language is very little known over the rest of the planet. I have translated about 2 pages of this Tome 5 in English, so I'm able to read this for you. I have put it inside here in the Danish tome, as you see. It is after a great and dangerous fight with some evil demons who wanted to get power over the children, and was conjured away by our heroes Henrik and Vigge, saving the whole world Pedoria. All pre-names of Pedoria children are from flowers, and in all languages. Henrik, corresponding to English Henry, is from the little flower or tiny ragwort, by Danish people sometimes called the proud Henrik. Vigge is from the flower of vetch. Nellik is from the flower of carnation. So I will start. We also meet Valmusin, that little cute fellow here. Tome 5. During these festive days, we all dwelt in the castle by King Astruc. Nellik, Vigge, and I slept in a huge 12-in-1 bed with a canopy, together with the princess and the princesses. I would wonder if not at least one of us 3 children from Infantia would get a royal descendant in Scampavia. A certain morning, we departed from the castle after an excellent breakfast. We had 2 days yet before we had to travel further on our trip. These 2 days Valmo would utterly gladly have us dwelling, because not yet we had seen Valmo's home. Touching and very tenderly, we took leave of the king, his family, and the court, and of Gerenion, together with his household, and finally of Callow and Caedon. Truly, we will see each other again in the future. At any rate, we hope so. Calus said, weeping, when he hugged us. And also Chiron wept his flowing tears. Princess Pedoria, her sister, and the princess also wept, and nearly they could not let go me, Vicky, or Nelik. Well, at last we drive in biggest car at the home of Valmo. He had a wonderful log house in 2 floors, situated on a hill surrounded by pines and bushes, of which many was full of flowers. That reminded me about Joergen, the follow deer fountain castle, my future giant log house. The house of Valmo had many verandas and balconies by all sides. It was no traditional Scandinavian house. My home in Infantia is also a log house, but as it only has been built during my journey, I have not been there yet, I explained for Valmo. Log houses are wonderful, said Valmo. My home, Joergen, however, is enormous. I explained further. It is a castle with 3 wings, inner yard, towers and spires. My matrimonial girlfriend, Gladiola, resides there now. Well, it must be wonderful to come home and become an owner of a castle, Valmo remarked. Yes, I answered. Well enough, I am not noble, at any rate not yet. But who knows what may happen in the future? But nevertheless, I have given the castle a heraldic shield, besides the symbols for the star constellation. By the moment of foundation, you see on your shield a peeing follow deer, a buck, and it is that which is the deer fountain. In that way the name of the castle is depicted. The hollow deer is just my totem. Above you also see the totem of Gladiola, the wagtail. A splendid idea, Valmo said. That is on the top. My house is called Cedar Club, and now let's go inside for a rest before Picaro begins the dinner. Who is Picaro? Vicky asked. He's my house robot, Valmo answered. The house was just as wonderful inside as outside. Here ruled the special odor and atmosphere of timber, which is characteristical of log houses. Valmo had many wicker chairs. There also was trinkets and sculptures, together with fine watercolor paintings on the walls. In the sitting room and the dining room was lampshades, which was imitations of the orange lamps in which the physalis berries are. Picaro had an elegant, slim body. His arms and legs were black and velvet-like. He was wearing shirt and shorts. Also, he had a very long and movable black velvet tail. The head was like the head of the black baboon, with black velvet cheeks and black hair, with a characteristic top above. The eyes were big, black and shining. He looked extremely charming. He began to be busy in the kitchen, and he used his tail to keep hold of and move things when both of his hands were occupied. We sat down with a glass of Scandinavian mead in the sitting room, while we waited for the dinner. Quickly, Picaro laid a table before double plates. He placed 2 glasses by each pair of plates, the one a little smaller than the other, and there were brought in 2 earthenware amphoras to the table. We heard the sound of frying from the kitchen, and a delicious smell spread in the rooms. Nellik, Vigge, and I took a seat by the table, called upon by Valmo, and he sat down as the last. He poured out a delicious ice-cold rice wine. Then Picaro arrived with the first course. It was fully fried gazelle kidneys, cellular tissue cultivated, of course, with potatoes, mixed with raw slice of banana, and together with a delicate brown yellowish sauce. We 4 boys drank a toast, chatted and felt the domestic warmth. There was a splendid system of air conditioning in the whole house, which gave a pleasant indoor temperature, also on days when the outside temperature reached up to about 30 degrees or almost. The system in the house regulated itself so that here always was the same inner climate the whole 24 hours. The outside night temperature in Scandinavia do never fall under 15 degrees. The main dish was chopped beef from water buffalo with cooked and fried taro. There was plenty of onions and a garlic sauce. To this we drank a splendid Scandinavian red wine. The dessert was a wonderful cold saffron yellow rice pudding with a great fruit sauce from kiwi and papaya. Picaro brought in an amphora with meat and special meat mugs made of thick black-brown shells of fruit. There was heard a pretty song from birds outside one of the open windows. That's why I don't put on any banquet music, Walmer explained. When for the time I have this lovely bird song just on these hours of the day. After the dessert, we sat quiet listening. Later on, Valmo broke the silence. I have a surprise for you, something that I want to show you. It's just something for you. Well, and that surprise is that Valmo shows the guests his interesting laboratories for research in all mushrooms, biochemical and organic chemical qualities.